Hello, my name is Ethan. I'm one of the co-founders of Mindsmith, and this is a demo of Mindsmith. You can see here when you log in that you're brought to this dashboard. It's a super intuitive dashboard. I have my folders here at the top, my uncategorized lessons below. I do all my management here on the side, so I can manage my personal folders, my favorites. If I have Mindsmith teams, I can manage my team, so all these projects are shared between all my team members. I can also manage, if I have a team, my members, so we have floating licenses, and my branding, so I can create themes that are accessible to everyone within my organization. But we'll actually be creating a lesson today, because that's the fun part of Mindsmith. It's super easy. You just click Create New here at the top right, and then Generate Lesson. This brings you to our generator. The generator is the place in Mindsmith where you give all of the context to the AI to Mindsmith. So you can see we have various fields here: instructions, audience and style guide, sources, we have some options, and then we have some buttons here below. So I'll walk through each of the fields. I'll use one of these examples, maybe cybersecurity basics. You start with the instructions. So the instructions is a really robust field. I can provide a lot of detail here. So not only can I tell it like what I'm trying to teach, so e-learning module on cybersecurity basics tailored for non-technical staff, but maybe I also want to give some subtopics. So include sections on password management, recognizing phishing attempts, safe internet practices. I can also in this field provide structural guidance for the AI. So I can say end with an interactive matching exercise to reinforce key concepts. Or maybe I want to say end with a quiz. Or maybe I want to say like put a quiz at the end of every page to test understanding throughout the module. Or however I want to structure it. Use lots of drag and drop activities to teach this specific concept. So I can get really granular here in instructions, or I can be more high level. Audience and style guide. This field is more for macro guidance for the AI, so this gets applied to the entire lesson. You can think of things like audience, narrative style, writing guides that you might want to upload here. We can be super straightforward for employees at a financial services firm, but maybe I have like specific definitions of terms. I can tell it that, or if I want to treat a certain topic in a certain way. I can also, if I have a team, save these style guides to my team so that everyone within the team will have access to them, which is really nice just to create consistency of audience, narrative style, tone, whatever. Sources, I can add my documents, so we take any text-based sources, PDF, PowerPoint, Word document, website links. Right now Mindsmith just processes the text, but we are working on images as well, so it'll both process the image, understand the image, and bring it into the lesson. So that's documents. I'm going to go ahead and fine-tune this outline while I talk through some of the options. The options here are just I'll actually mention another thing about the documents. When you upload your document, there will also be two different ways for you to treat the document. You can either use it as a reference where the AI is going to prioritize your instructions, or you can convert the document where the AI is going to prioritize the document. It'll try to strictly follow the document. And it says, so this mode is really for the use case of I have a document, a PDF, PowerPoint, whatever, and I need to convert it directly into an e-learning module. Whereas using it for reference is going to, like I said, focus on your instructions, and then it'll say what from the documents matches my instructions here. So you can kind of play around with that, determine which one fits your use case better. Some of the options here, I can change the length. So a Mindsmith lesson is somewhere between 5 and 25 minutes. We don't have like a 1 or 3 hour course crate yet, but that is something we're working on, so you'll see that in the next probably month or so. Images, you can do AI images, so using DALL-E 3, or you can pull from the web. This is a Bing API with various licensing levels. For lesson style, you can do long pages. That's the one I usually prefer. Or you can do microlearning, which will be like 1 element per page. So long pages will have like maybe 5 or 6 elements on each page. It's a little bit more visually engaging, but again, up to your preferences and your use case. So if you noticed before I clicked generate outline here, what the AI did there is it looked at the instructions I gave, the audience and style guide, it looked at the sources as well as the length, and it said what's a structure for a lesson that makes sense here, and then it created a topic and a description for each of the sections. So a section you can imagine is as teaching just one concept maybe in a specific way. So you can hop in and I can see, okay, here in core content, the second section, it's going to discuss the critical role of strong password management and securing online accounts. But the cool thing about this is that it's fully editable. So I could hop in and I could say, using a story of an employee who did the wrong thing, discuss the critical role of strong password management. Or using lots of drag and drop activities, or using a case study, or using dialogue, or however I'm envisioning the lesson, this is really my time to get a lot more granular in the and telling the AI what my vision for the lesson is. So you can edit these, you can rearrange them, you can delete them, you can add sections here at the bottom. So really powerful feature here as you're designing the lesson to really get it to match what you're expecting. You can also regenerate the outline, so you can do this maybe 5 or 6 times to get different versions of an outline and then pick and choose which sections you like best from all of the different versions. So the next thing you would do is just click Generate Lesson. Cool, you can see the lesson generated. We just click Open Lesson. This brings you to the authoring tool itself. The Mindsmith authoring tool was designed to be super intuitive to use. So you can see here that every element in Mindsmith gets what we call a tile that can be rearranged and resized according to your needs. So I can see here, okay, this is the title of the lesson. Maybe I want to, instead of putting it underneath this image, maybe I want to drop it on the side of the image. I can just drop it in here. Maybe I want to resize this to make it look a little bit better. I can bring that down, maybe resize it this way or this way. So every element within Mindsmith gets this resizability. We have lots of interactive elements in Mindsmith. I'm not going to cover them all, but they're all of your classics like flashcards, accordions, drag and drop style activities, all that fun stuff. The other cool thing about this editing interface is our AI assistant. The AI assistant is crazy powerful because it understands every unit of measurement within Mindsmith, whether it's a tile, a page, a section, or the entire lesson, and it can edit or add any of those units of measurement. So if I hop in and I'm like, okay, here in this introduction, I'm like, okay, this gives kind of an overview of the lesson, but I wish it were a more in-depth overview. I can just hop into the assistant and I can say, regenerate this tile, give a more in-depth overview of the lesson here, and it would regenerate the tile. Or it can also convert tiles into different tile types. So I could say, convert this tile into an accordion style or into a flashcard grid or whatever. So it'll teach the same concepts, but in a different type. I can also do that for an entire page, a section, or a lesson, like I said. So I could say, add a section on ergonomic best practices, and it would create that section, or regenerate this lesson for an 8th grade reading level, and it would regenerate the lesson given the new context that I'm trying to add. So really powerful feature there. The idea is that the initial generation in Mindsmith gets you about 80% of the way there. It's like the bones, the structure of a good lesson, but the assistant helps as you're fine-tuning and tweaking all along the way. You'll also notice as you're building that every element, or every what we call tile in Mindsmith, has its own options and settings. So I could say, okay, here I want to change the text color to white and the background color to blue. Sorry, my thing's in the way. Background color to blue, and it just, you can, change the settings. So every kind of different tile is going to have its own settings. Another cool thing about Mindsmith is our AI audio narration. So I can narrate either the entire lesson or tile by tile. Really powerful feature. They're very natural sounding voices, so you can play around with that if you're in our pro tier. Last thing to mention about Mindsmith that really sets us apart is how we treat Scorm. So in Mindsmith, if you're building e-learning, especially for the corporate space, Scorm is going to be a very common standard that you use to connect the authoring tool to the LMS. What we've done with Scorm is that we hosted the Scorm file on the cloud, which has opened up a bunch of really cool features for us. One is that it'll always take seconds to upload to the LMS, no matter how much content you have. The second thing is that it's a dynamic file instead of a static file, which means that as you change something in Mindsmith, it will update in the LMS automatically. So you don't need to delete it from the LMS, change it in the authoring tool, re-download it, and re-upload it. So it'll also save your progress and all that fun stuff. The other thing is that we can do languages really dynamically and really elegantly. So I can create a new version of the same lesson, and it's all hosted in one file. So I could create the Spanish version of this lesson. I just click Add Translation, and then when I upload the Scorm file to my LMS, the file itself will read the device language of the learner and give them the version that matches their device language. So if their phone or their computer's in Spanish, it will give them the Spanish version automatically. So it's this really dynamic file so that if you have multiple languages, you can manage it really easily. The last thing is that we can get analytics that don't typically get tracked in Scorm. So we get, you can follow your results, but you can also see granular engagement, like where people are falling off in a lesson, the average time they're spending on a page, also how they're performing on individual assessment questions. You can both see this from a macro perspective, or if you turn it on, you can see it in a more granular perspective broken down by learner. So there's a lot of power here in Mindsmith. There are a lot of extra features and settings that you'll experience as you're building. You can, of course, change the theme and, add all the different elements that you need. But that's an overview of Mindsmith. If you have any questions, if you're interested in upgrading to the Teams tier, shoot me an email. My email is ethan@mindsmith.ai. Thanks.